Lately, I've observed a lot of conversation around social and political issues where one person decries the demise of society and the other person points to the improvement in the stock market as a sign that we are better than we've ever been. So the question is, and that came to me was, is the GDP of a country or the value of its stock market the most important metric by which to measure the health of a society? Yeah, of course, after all, when everybody is more financially well off, doesn't life become easier and in fact better? It was this line of reasoning that brought me to a quote by Bobby Kennedy, who served as a former U.S. Attorney General, U.S. Senator, and the brother to the 34th President of the United States, Jack Kennedy. And Bobby said, "The gross domestic product does not allow for the health of our children, the quality of their education, the joy of their play. It does not include the beauty of our poetry, the strength of our marriages, the intelligence of our public debate, or the integrity of our public officials. It measures neither our wit or our courage, neither our wisdom or our learning, neither our compassion or our devotion to country. It measures everything, in short, except that which makes life worthwhile." Now, while we know, of course, and we cherish the value of a great economy and the ease it brings to our lives, I want to invite you to ask yourself, if all we had was, as a people, was money, would life be really worthwhile? If it meant hating most of the people around you to protect that money, would it be really worth fighting for? If you had to sacrifice the things that mean the most to you, and for most people is the future of our children, because of course you can notch a win today and live comfortably while denying the repercussions, are you really rich? My position is that our true GDP, our true gross domestic product, is, as a society, is not really a number, but instead it is a sum of attitudes. It is the average of everything that we put out, both good and bad, as a society. Our GDP includes the hate and the finger pointing, the intolerance and the greed, the human trafficking and the environmental pollution, the decrease in the quality of education for our children, or the lack of care for those who put their lives on the line for us, either by serving or by teaching our children how to read. It includes our indifference or our willingness to look the other way when something, bothers another, the predicament of another, just because it doesn't directly affect us. But fortunately, our GDP also includes our unique ability to rally around people. Maybe it is to help them raise money, on social media, and sometimes the people we barely knew. Perhaps it is the hours of volunteer service, the strength of our unity in the face of tragedy, or the positive vibes we get when we just meditate, or the consideration we show another when we let them in, ahead of us in the line, either in a coffee shop or in traffic. It is the sum of everything positive that we do, whether or not we're being watched or not. Why is that important? It is important because it feeds into the collective consciousness, our collective consciousness as a people, whether we know it or not. And the problem that I notice is that we face the risk, a very real risk right now, of being so close to losing the things that really make life worthwhile. And we're trading this for an illusion, trading our most valuable possessions for a bowl of soup, for a number that can change on a dime, even because of things that happen halfway across the world that we've got no control over. The fact is that if we naively think that as long as a specific metric tied to the financial industry is trending in the right direction, that we're good to go, then I posit that we're in for a rude awakening. Because history has proven time and again that something eventually happens. I mean, we saw this in 9/11, we saw this with the bird flu scare, we saw this in the financial meltdown of 2008, when the stock market, shed all the gains that it took years to put together. Now, when something unfortunate happens, and what are we going to be left with? We're going to be left with each other. We're going to be left with our attitudes towards each other and the unwise sacrifices we had made. We're going to be left with a common bond that is no longer strong enough to keep us focused on our collective interests. We're going to be left with a basic mistrust for each other and, unfortunately, public officials who lack the integrity because they only serve their private interests. We're going to be left with calloused minds. And this is my invitation to you, because although we still have a chance, our window of opportunity is dramatically closing. And I want to challenge every single one of us, every single one of you, to adopt a more multi-dimensional and long-term approach to your thinking about how we measure our success as a society. Because the real measure of our GDP will be more long-lasting than an economic number. And neither we, and certainly not our children, will be able to escape that particular GDP. So I hope we do something and we recognize this true metric before it's too late.